The sun burned hot over the desert wasteland of Vistara 7. Daiwan wiped sweat from his face as he walked through the canyon. His metal detector beeped softly in his hand. He was looking for scrap metal, old equipment, anything he could sell. Money was tight. It had been tight for 2 years now, ever since the mining company closed down. He was alone out here. Most people stayed in the colony town where it was safer. But Daiwan needed to find something valuable today. His rent was due in 3 days and he had nothing. The detector suddenly beeped louder. Daiwan stopped walking. He looked at the small screen. The reading was strange. It was not showing metal. It was showing something else, something biological, something alive. His heart beat faster. Maybe it was an animal. Some creatures lived underground in the desert. But the signal was too big for a small animal. Too steady. Daiwan pulled out his small shovel. He started digging. The sand was soft at first, then harder. He dug for 20 minutes. His arms hurt. Then his shovel hit something solid. He brushed away the sand with his hands. There was a metal plate underneath. It was old but not natural. Someone had put it here. Daiwan found the edge and pulled. The plate came up with a scraping sound. Below the plate was a small chamber, and inside the chamber was a person. Daiwan jumped back. His breath caught in his throat. It was a girl. She had blue skin that glowed faintly in the darkness. She was tall and thin. Her eyes were closed. She wore white clothes that looked like burial clothes. She was not human. She was Valari. Daiwan had seen Valari before in the colony. They were one of the alien races that lived in this sector of space. They were usually rich, usually important, but this girl was buried in the desert alone. Daiwan checked his detector again. The biosignature was weak but still there. She was alive, barely. He looked closer. There was a small device next to her body. It glowed with a faint blue light. A stasis field generator. It was keeping her alive, but the light was flickering. The battery was almost dead. Daiwan made a decision. He reached down and carefully lifted the girl. She was light, too light. She had not eaten in a long time. He grabbed the stasis generator too. Maybe it would help. He carried her back across the desert. It took him an hour. The sun was setting when he reached his shelter. It was a small building made from old shipping containers. It was not much, but it was home. Inside, Daiwan laid the girl on his bed. He looked at the stasis generator. The light was almost gone. He found a power cable and plugged it into his solar battery. The light grew stronger. But he did not know if that was enough. He was not a doctor. He had some medical supplies, things every colonist kept for emergencies. He found his med kit and opened it. The girl's breathing was shallow. Her skin felt cold. Daiwan found a scanner in his kit. He ran it over her body. The screen showed dehydration, malnutrition, and low body temperature. She needed fluids and warmth. He grabbed a blanket and covered her. Then he found his emergency IV kit. His hand shook as he inserted the needle into her arm. The fluid began dripping slowly into her vein. Daiwan sat back and watched her. Who was she? Why was she buried out there? The clothes she wore were ceremonial. The burial chamber was deliberate. This was not an accident. Someone had buried her alive. He looked at her arms. There were marks carved into her skin. Strange symbols. They looked old, like they had been there for weeks. Scars that were healing. Daiwan felt sick. What kind of person would do this? He stood up and walked to his small window. The colony lights glowed in the distance. Should he call the authorities? Should he report this? But if he did, they would ask questions. They would want to know why he was in the forbidden zone. That area was off limits. He could get fined. Maybe arrested. And what if whoever did this came looking for her? What if they had power and money? Daiwan was nobody. Just a broke salvager. Who would believe him? He looked back at the girl. She was so young. Maybe 16 or 17 years old. Just a child, really. He could not leave her to die. He could not call anyone who might send her back to whoever did this. So he would wait. He would keep her alive. Then when she woke up, she could tell him what happened. Daiwan checked the IV bag. It was half empty. He would need to change it soon. He checked her temperature. It was rising slowly. Good. He pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down. His body ached from digging and carrying her across the desert. But he could not sleep yet. He needed to watch her. Make sure she kept breathing. Hours passed. The night grew dark outside. Daiwan's eyes grew heavy. But every time he started to doze off, he forced himself awake. He checked her pulse. He checked the IV, he adjusted the blanket. Finally, near midnight, her breathing grew stronger. Her skin felt warmer. The color was returning to her face. Daewon allowed himself to relax slightly. He grabbed his old datapad and did a search on Valari biology. He read about their need for specific minerals. He read about their sensitivity to temperature. He made notes of things he might need. By dawn, the girl was stable. Her vital signs were still weak but improving. Daewon finally allowed himself to sleep. He moved to his old couch and collapsed onto it. But before he closed his eyes, he looked at her one more time. She looked peaceful now. Not like someone who had been left to die in the desert. Daewon wondered what her name was. He wondered what her story was. And he wondered what he had just gotten himself into. Outside, the sun rose over the desert. In the colony town, people were waking up and starting their day. None of them knew that in a small shelter on the edge of the wasteland, a man had just saved a life. And none of them knew that this simple act would change everything. Daewon was replacing her IV bag when her eyes suddenly opened. They were large and golden like most Valari eyes. But there was terror in them. She screamed and tried to sit up. The IV line pulled tight. Daewon stepped back quickly, raising his hands. "It's okay. It's okay. You're safe," he said. But she did not understand. She spoke rapidly in Valari language, words he could not understand. She pulled at the IV line, trying to get it out of her arm. Daewon grabbed his datapad and activated the translation program. It was not perfect, but it would help. "Please, stop moving. You'll hurt yourself," he said. The datapad translated his words into Valari. The girl froze. She stared at him. Then she spoke again, slower this time. The datapad translated, "You are here to kill me. Finish it quickly." Daewon's heart sank. "No, I'm not here to kill you. I found you in the desert. You were dying. I brought you here to save you." She looked confused. Her eyes darted around the small room. She saw the medical equipment. She saw the IV in her arm. She saw that she was on a bed covered with a blanket. "Where am I?" she asked. "My home, on the edge of the colony." "You're safe here." "Safe?" She laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "I am not safe anywhere." Daewon sat down in his chair. He kept his distance, trying not to scare her more.
"Can you tell me your name?"
She hesitated. Then she said, "Nari, I'm Daewon. I'm a salvager. I work in the desert. I found you 2 days ago, buried underground." Nari looked down at her hands. They were shaking. "You should not have saved me." "Why would you say that?" "Because I am supposed to be dead." Daewon waited. He did not push her. After a long moment, Nari began to speak.
"I am from a Valari family."
"An important family. My father Kwan is a diplomat. My mother Misun is a council member. They have 5 children. I am the youngest." She paused. Her voice grew quieter. "But I was born wrong. I do not have telepathy." Daewon frowned. "Telepathy? All Valari have telepathy. We can hear each other's thoughts. We can share feelings and memories. It is how we communicate, how we connect. It is what makes us Valari. But you don't have it." "No, I'm broken. A damaged mind. My siblings say I bring shame to our family." Nari touched the scars on her arms. "These marks are symbols of exile. My brothers and sister gave them to me. Hyun is the oldest, then Bitna, then Taeyang, then Sunhee. They all agreed that I should not live." Daewon felt anger rising in his chest. "They tried to kill you. My parents were away on a diplomatic mission. My siblings planned it carefully. They told me we were going to have a ceremony. A special family ceremony. I trusted them." Her voice broke. "They drugged my food. When I woke up, I was in the burial chamber. They had dressed me in death clothes. They carved the exile marks into my skin, and they buried me." "The stasis field," Daewon said. "It kept you alive. It was meant to fail within a week. They told me that before they sealed the chamber. They said it was a mercy, that I would fall asleep and never wake up. They said it was better than living as a broken thing." Nari wiped her eyes. "I thought I would die there. I thought no one would find me. I thought my parents would return and my siblings would tell them I had an accident, that I had run away, that I was gone." Daewon stood up. He paced the small room. "This is murder. We need to report this." "No," Nari said quickly. "You cannot. My siblings are powerful. They have money and connections. If you report this, they will say I am lying. They will say I am mentally ill, that I hurt myself. Who will believe me over them? But you have proof. The burial chamber, the marks on your arms. They will destroy the evidence. They will pay people to lie, and they will hurt you for interfering. Daewon stopped pacing. She was probably right. He had no power, no money, no influence. He was just a poor human trying to survive. But he could not just do nothing. Your parents, he said. When will they return? I do not know. They have been gone for a month, maybe another month more. If we can survive until they return, we can tell them the truth. Nari shook her head. My siblings will find me before then. They will be looking. They will want to make sure I am truly dead. Then we hide you. This colony is big. There are old mining tunnels everywhere. I know places where no one goes. You would risk your life for me? A stranger? An alien? Daewon sat back down. He looked at Nari. She was just a kid. A scared kid who almost died because her own family thought she was not good enough. I was thrown away too, he said quietly. When the mining company failed, they left us all here. No jobs, no support, just abandoned. The galaxy does not care about people like me. I'm not special or important. He met her eyes. But I'm still here. I'm still alive, and I think you deserve to be alive too, no matter what your siblings say. Nari stared at him. Tears ran down her blue cheeks. Why do you care? Because someone should. They sat in silence for a while. Outside, the wind blew sand against the walls of the shelter. Finally, Nari spoke again. I am not completely without gifts, she said. I cannot read minds, but I learned to read people in other ways. I watch faces. I see small movements. I understand emotions through observation. It helped me survive. That sounds useful. And I am good with technology. Very good, I can fix things, build things. My siblings hated that too. They said I relied on machines because I lacked true ability. Daewon smiled slightly. I think your siblings were idiots. Nari laughed. It was small, but it was real. They are idiots. Cruel idiots. Then let's make sure they don't win. Let's keep you alive until your parents return. We'll gather evidence. We'll tell the truth. It will be dangerous. I know. Nari nodded slowly. Thank you, Daewon. Thank you for saving me. Get some rest. You're still weak. Tomorrow we'll start planning. Nari lay back down. The fear was still in her eyes, but there was something else now too. Hope. Small and fragile, but there. Daewon watched her fall asleep. Then he looked at his datapad. He searched for information about Valari families, about their laws and customs, about what happened to children born without telepathy. What he found made him sick. Nari was right. In traditional Valari culture, non-telepathic children were often killed at birth. It was considered a mercy, a way to prevent suffering, but it was also about family honor, about maintaining pure bloodlines, about not having defective members bringing shame. Daewon closed the datapad. He looked at Nari sleeping peacefully. She was not defective. She was different. And different was not the same as broken. He would protect her, whatever it took. He was in the colony market buying food when he heard the news. A Valari family had arrived. They were looking for their missing sister. They were offering a reward. Daewon's blood went cold. He quickly paid for his food and left the market. He walked fast but tried not to run. Running would look suspicious. When he got back to his shelter, Nari was practicing walking. She was much stronger now. She could move around the small room without getting tired. They're here, Daewon said. Your siblings. They're in the colony. Nari's face went pale. How many? I don't know. I heard they're offering money for information about you. They will say I ran away, that I am sick, that they are worried. That's exactly what they're saying. Nari sat down heavily. What do we do? Daewon had been thinking about this all week. I know a place. Old mining tunnels under the colony. They go deep. Most people don't even know they exist. We hide underground? For now, until we can figure out a plan. They gathered supplies quickly. Food, water, blankets, lights. Daewon grabbed his tools and his datapad. Nari took the medical kit and her burial clothes. Evidence. Why do you keep those? Daewon asked, pointing at the white clothes. Proof, Nari said. Proof of what they did. They left the shelter through a back exit. Daewon led Nari to an old ventilation shaft behind his building. It was rusty and partly collapsed. Most people thought it was sealed. But Daewon had explored it months ago. He knew it connected to the old tunnel system. They climbed down. The shaft was dark and narrow. Nari's glowing skin provided some light. They went down for 10 minutes. Then they reached a tunnel. The tunnel was wide and tall. Old rail tracks ran along the floor. This used to be a mining operation. The walls were smooth rock. The air was cool and dry. Daewon turned on his light. This way. They walked for half an hour. The tunnel branched many times. Daewon knew the way. He had mapped these tunnels when he first arrived on the colony, back when he thought he might find valuable minerals down here. Finally, they reached a small chamber. It was dry and stable. There was old equipment in one corner. Broken machinery. This is it, Daewon said. No one comes down here. We should be safe. They set up a small camp. Daewon arranged the supplies. Nari spread out blankets. It was not comfortable, but it was hidden. How long can we stay here? Nari asked. As long as we need to. I can bring more supplies, but we need to be careful. For 3 days they stayed in the tunnels. Daewon would go up during the day to gather information. He learned that Nari's siblings had brought security forces. Professional hunters. They were searching the colony systematically. They were scanning for Valari biosignatures, using technology to find her. Daewon realized they needed to mask Nari's presence. He went to the scrap markets and bought old equipment. Mining sensors, signal jammers, things that people thought were broken, but Daewon was not buying them for himself. Nari fixed them. She was incredible with technology. Her hands moved quickly and confidently. She took apart the broken machines and rebuilt them into new things. A signal jammer that could mask her biosignature, a sensor that would alert them if anyone came near. Where did you learn this? Daewon asked. I taught myself. I had a lot of time alone. My siblings did not want to be near me, so I spent my time with machines. They do not care if you are telepathic or not. Your siblings are fools, Daewon said. Nari smiled slightly. I have been saying that for years. But the situation was getting worse. On the 5th day, Daewon returned to the tunnels with bad news. They found your burial site, he said. Someone reported it. They saw me digging there on their scanner logs. Do they know it was you? Not yet. But they're investigating. They're checking everyone who was in that area. Nari's hands shook. They will find us. Not if we're smart. Daewon had a plan. He would create false trails. He would use the jammer to create fake biosignatures in different locations, make them think Nari was moving around the colony. He also did something else. He talked to other colonists, other humans who were struggling like him. He told them the truth. Not the whole truth, but enough. He told them a young alien girl was being hunted by her rich family, that they wanted to kill her for being different, that she needed help. Humans understood being unwanted, being cast aside. Many of the colonists had similar stories. They had been abandoned by companies or governments, left to survive on their own. They agreed to help. Not everyone, but enough. People started giving false information to the security forces. They said they saw a Valari girl on the other side of the colony, or in the desert, or heading toward the spaceport. The security forces chased these false leads, but Hyun, Nari's oldest brother, was smart. He began to suspect something. On the 7th day, Daewon was leaving the market when someone followed him. It was Bitna, Nari's sister. She was tall and elegant. Her blue skin was darker than Nari's. Her eyes were cold. Daewon tried to lose her in the crowd. He went through narrow alleys. He doubled back, but she stayed with him. Finally, he reached his shelter. He went inside quickly and locked the door. He watched through the window. Bitna stood outside for a long time, just watching. Then she left. Daewon's hands were shaking. She knew, or at least she suspected, he could not go back to the tunnels now. Not with her watching. He stayed in his shelter all night. In the morning, he saw security forces outside. They were watching his building. He sent a message to Nari through a coded signal they had set up. A simple pattern of beeps. It meant danger. Stay hidden. Daewon knew he could not lead them to her, so he had to make them think he was not involved. He went about his normal routine. He went to the market. He talked to people. He acted normal. But Bitna was always there, watching, following. In the tunnels, Nari waited. She was alone again, like she had been all her life. But this time was different. This time someone was fighting for her. Someone believed she deserved to live. She checked the sensors. No one was near. She was safe for now. But she knew it would not last. Her siblings would not give up. They had too much to lose. If the truth came out, their family would be destroyed. Their honor ruined. They would do anything to stop that. Including killing Day One. Nari made a decision. She could not let an innocent person die for her. She began to plan. If her siblings found her, she would face them. But she would not go quietly. And she would not let them hurt Day One. Above ground, the sun was setting. The colony lights came on, and in the shadows, hunters and prey moved in a deadly dance. The game had changed. Now it was not just about survival. It was about who would break first. Day One knew he was being watched constantly now. Bitna or her security forces followed him everywhere, so he had to be creative. He started leaving his shelter at different times. Sometimes early morning, sometimes late night. He would walk through the colony doing normal things, shopping, working small jobs, talking to neighbors. But while he walked, he was doing other things too. He was creating a network. Humans were good at this, at working together when threatened, at building systems that confused outsiders. The Valari relied on telepathy to communicate. They could share thoughts instantly, but that also made them predictable. Humans had to use words, gestures, codes. It made them slower, but it also made them harder to read. Day One taught the other colonists simple signals. A red cloth hanging on a door meant security forces were nearby. A stack of boxes in a certain pattern meant the path was clear. Graffiti marks that looked random but actually gave directions. The Valari security forces did not understand these signs. They looked at them and saw nothing important. But the humans knew, and they used this knowledge. Day One also started using the colony's old infrastructure against the hunters. He found maintenance access points, old service corridors, forgotten passages. The colony had been built quickly and cheaply. There were flaws everywhere. He mapped these flaws, shared the maps with trusted people. Soon humans could move through the colony unseen. They could watch the security forces without being watched themselves. But Day One's best trick was the false biosignatures. Nari had built several devices from scrap. Each one could emit a signal similar to a Valari biosignature. Not perfect, but close enough to confuse scanners. Day One gave these devices to volunteers. They carried them to different parts of the colony. When the security forces scanned an area, they would pick up multiple Valari signals. They would chase each one. Every false signal wasted their time and resources. Hyun grew frustrated. He increased the security presence. He offered bigger rewards. He threatened people, but the more he pushed, the more the humans resisted. They did not like being bullied. They did not like rich aliens coming to their colony and acting like they owned it. One night, Day One finally managed to lose his followers. He used a service tunnel that came out near the old ventilation shaft. He climbed down to see Nari. She was thinner now. Staying underground was hard, but she was also stronger in other ways. More determined. "I have news," Day One said. "Your parents' ship sent a message. They will arrive in 6 days." Nari's eyes went wide. 6 days. We just need to survive 6 more days. But we need evidence. Real evidence they cannot deny. Nari pulled out a small recording device she had built. "I have been working on this. It can record video and audio. If we can get my siblings to admit what they did, we will have proof." Day One looked at the device. It was tiny. This could work. But how do we get close enough to record them? "I have an idea, but you will not like it." Her idea was dangerous. She wanted to reveal herself, to let her siblings know she was alive, to make them angry enough to speak without thinking. "That is insane," Day One said. "They will try to kill you again. They will try, but we will be ready. We will record everything, and we will have help." Over the next 2 days, they prepared. Nari built more devices, cameras, microphones, backup recording systems. She hid them in small objects. A button, a piece of jewelry, things that looked harmless. Day One gathered more allies. He found 12 humans who were willing to help. They were all people who had been treated badly by the powerful. They understood what Nari was facing. They trained together, practiced signals and positions, planned escape routes. They were not soldiers. They were miners and mechanics and merchants, but they were motivated. On the fourth day, something unexpected happened. Sun-hee, the youngest of Nari's siblings besides herself, approached one of the human helpers. Her name was Ji-woo, a mechanic who worked at the spaceport. Sun-hee looked nervous. "I need to talk to someone. About my sister. About Nari." Ji-woo pretended not to know anything. "I do not understand. Please. I know humans have been helping her. I know she is alive. I need to tell someone the truth." Ji-woo carefully brought Sun-hee to a safe location. Then she contacted Daewon. When Daewon arrived with recording devices hidden on him, Sun-hee was crying. "I did not want to do it," she said. "I told them it was wrong. But Hyun said we had no choice. He said Nari would destroy our family's reputation, that father and mother would be humiliated, that we would all suffer." "So you helped bury your sister alive," Daewon said coldly. I know it was evil. I have not slept since we did it. Every night I see her face. I hear her screaming as we sealed the chamber." "Then why did you do it?" "Because I was afraid. Afraid of Hyun. He is not like other Velari. He is cruel. He enjoys having power over others. And Bitna follows him in everything. Taeyang does what he is told. I am the youngest. I have no power. You could have said no. I am a coward." Sun-hee wiped her tears. "But I can help now. I can testify against them. I can tell our parents the truth." Daewon looked at her carefully. Was this a trick? Was she trying to find Nari? But his instincts said no. Sun-hee was genuinely broken, genuinely guilty. "If you want to help, I need you to do something," Daewon said. "Anything. I need you to wear a recording device. I need you to talk to Hyun and Bitna. Get them to admit what they did." Sun-hee looked terrified. "They will know. They can read my thoughts." "Can they? Are you sure? Or do they just assume they know what you are thinking?" Sun-hee paused. "I do not know. Try for your sister, for the girl you helped bury." Sun-hee nodded slowly. "I will try." The next day, Sun-hee wore a hidden camera. She approached Hyun and Bitna at their temporary residence in the colony. "I am worried," she told them. "What if she really is alive? What if someone found her?" Hyun laughed. "Impossible. The stasis field would have failed days ago. She is dead. But what if she is not? What if father and mother find out?" Bitna spoke then, her voice cold. "They will never know. We disposed of a defective. We did what they were too weak to do. If anyone asks, Nari ran away. She was unstable, mentally ill. That is the story. But what if there is evidence?" "We will destroy it," Hyun said. "We will pay anyone who knows, or we will silence them permanently." "You mean kill them?" Sun-hee's voice shook. "If necessary. This family's honor is worth more than a few human lives." Sun-hee left shortly after. She met with Daewon and gave him the recording device. Her hands were shaking. "I did it." "Is that enough?" Daewon played back the recording. It was clear. Every word. Every admission. "This is perfect," he said. "What happens now?" "Now we wait for their parents, and we show them the truth." But things did not go as planned. That evening, Taeyang's security forces found one of the false biosignature devices. They analyzed it. They realized what it was. Hyun understood immediately. Someone was helping Nari. Someone was using human technology to hide her. He ordered a complete lockdown of the colony. No one in or out. Full searches of every building. The trap was closing, and Daewon knew they were running out of time. In the tunnels, Nari checked her sensors. Security forces were moving in patterns, sweeping every area. They would find the tunnels eventually. She sent a signal to Daewon, one word. "Hurry!" Above ground, Daewon looked at the sky. Somewhere out there, Nari's parents were traveling through space, coming home. They just needed to survive 2 more days. 2 more days felt like forever. Nari's sensors beeped a warning. She grabbed her supplies and ran deeper into the tunnels. Behind her, she heard voices. Boots on stone, lights cutting through the darkness. She sent an emergency signal to Daewon. Then she kept running. The tunnels branched in many directions. Nari took turns randomly. Left, right, straight. She was trying to lose them. But the security forces had scanners. They could track her biosignature even through rock. Above ground, Daewon received the alert. His heart pounded. He ran toward the old ventilation shaft. Other humans saw him running and understood. They began to help. Someone triggered a false emergency alarm across the colony. Lights flashed. Sirens wailed. It created chaos and confusion. Another person sealed several tunnel entrances with welding equipment, slowing down the security forces. Others gathered near the main colony square. They formed a crowd, started demanding answers. Why was the colony locked down? Why were they being treated like prisoners? Hyun tried to maintain control, but the humans were angry now. They pushed forward. They shouted questions. Some threw rocks. It was a distraction, a beautiful chaotic distraction. Daewon reached the ventilation shaft and climbed down. He had a light and a map. He knew these tunnels. He moved quickly through the passages, heading toward Nari's last known position. He found her 20 minutes later. She was hiding in a small side chamber, breathing hard. "They are close," she whispered. "I know, we need to go up. Face them in the open." "That is suicide." "Maybe. But if they kill you down here, no one will know. If they kill you in front of witnesses, they cannot hide it." Nari understood. She nodded. They moved together toward the nearest exit. But Taeyang's forces were faster. They cut off the exit route. When Daewon and Nari emerged from a maintenance hatch, security forces were waiting. They were surrounded. Slowly, more people arrived. Hyun, Bitna, and Taeyang walked through the crowd of security forces. They stared at Nari with cold eyes. "Hello, sister," Hyun said. "You have caused us a lot of trouble." But humans were arriving too. Word had spread. Dozens of colonists were gathering. They formed a circle around the confrontation. They had cameras. They were recording. Daewon stepped in front of Nari. "You cannot touch her. Not with all these witnesses." Hyun laughed. "Witnesses to what? To us reclaiming our unstable sister? To us trying to help her? Unstable?" Daewon's voice was loud. He wanted everyone to hear. "You buried her alive. You carved marks into her skin. You left her to die in a stasis chamber," the crowd murmured. Cameras focused. Bitna stepped forward. "Lies. Our sister ran away. She is mentally ill. She hurts herself. We have been searching for her to get her help." "Then explain this." Daewon held up Nari's burial clothes, the white ceremonial garments. "These are death clothes. Ritual garments. She could have stolen those. She could have put them on herself. And the burial chamber, the one in the Forbidden Zone? The one that was deliberately constructed?" Hyun's eyes narrowed. "You have no proof of our involvement. I have your sister. Sunhee told us everything." Sunhee was standing at the edge of the crowd. When her name was mentioned, she stepped forward. She looked terrified but determined. "It is true," she said. "We did it. All four of us. We buried Nari because she has no telepathy. Because Hyun said she would ruin our family." Hyun's face twisted with rage. He turned on Sunhee. "You betray your own family? For this defective thing? She is our sister. She is broken. She has no mind voice. She is not truly Valari." The crowd of humans reacted to this. They understood prejudice. They understood being called broken or worthless. Daewon spoke again, his voice strong. "Nari is not broken. She learned different skills. She became excellent with technology. She can read emotions by watching people. She adapted. That is not weakness. That is strength." "Humans know nothing of our culture," Bitna spat. "You have no telepathy either. You are all disconnected, alone in your own heads. You cannot understand what it means to be truly connected." "Maybe not," Daewon said. "But we understand something you do not. We understand that different does not mean worthless. We understand that survival makes you strong, not weak." Taeyang had been silent until now. He looked uncomfortable. He spoke quietly. "Hyun, perhaps we should wait. Father and mother will be here soon. We can explain everything to them." "Explain what?" Hyun's voice was sharp. "That we did what they were too cowardly to do? That we removed the shame from our family? You think mother and father would approve of this?" Nari spoke for the first time. Her voice was stronger than before. "They loved me. They protected me. They pitied you," Hyun said. "But pity is not love. You were an embarrassment they tolerated." Nari flinched but did not back down. "I have recordings, confessions, proof of what you did. No one will believe you." "I will," Sunhee said. "I will tell father and mother everything." Hyun moved fast. He grabbed Sunhee's arm and pulled her toward him. His grip was hard enough to leave marks. You will say nothing. Let her go, Daewon said. Or what, you will stop me? You are nothing. A failed human on a dying colony. Maybe I am nothing, but there are a lot of us. The crowd of humans moved closer. They were not fighters, but they were many, and they were tired of being pushed around. The security forces raised their weapons. The humans did not back down. It was a standoff, tense and dangerous. Then Taeyang did something unexpected. He stepped away from his siblings. This is wrong. All of this is wrong. Taeyang, get back here, Bitna commanded. No, I am done. Hyun, you said it would be quick. You said she would not suffer, but we left her to slowly die in the dark. We tortured our own sister. She is not our sister. She is defective. Stop saying that. Taeyang's voice cracked. She is our sister, and we tried to murder her. Hyun's composure finally broke. He pulled out a weapon, a small energy pistol. He pointed it at Nari. If you will not stay dead, I will finish this now. Daewon moved without thinking. He pushed Nari aside and stepped into the line of fire. The crowd screamed. Cameras captured everything. Hyun's hand shook. He was trapped. If he fired, he would be a murderer on camera, in front of dozens of witnesses. His family's reputation would be destroyed. But if he lowered the weapon, he would have lost. Nari would be alive. The truth would come out anyway. His finger tightened on the trigger. Then a new voice cut through the tension. A voice transmitted through the colony's public address system. Hyun, lower your weapon. It was Kwan, Nari's father. His ship had arrived early, and he had been watching everything through the colony's security feeds. Hyun's face went pale. The weapon lowered slowly. Father, I can explain nothing. I have seen everything. I have heard everything. You will return to the ship immediately, all of you except Nari and Sunhee. Within minutes, a shuttle landed in the colony square. Kwan emerged, followed by Misun, Nari's mother. Misun ran to Nari and embraced her. She was crying. My child. My precious child. I am so sorry. So sorry we were not here. Nari collapsed into her mother's arms. All the strength she had shown disappeared. She was just a scared child again. Kwan approached Hyun. His face was stone. You have dishonored this family beyond measure. You have attempted murder. You have betrayed your sister. You have shown cruelty that no civilized being should possess. Father, she is defective. She is my daughter. And she is worth 1,000 of you. Kwan turned to Daewon. You saved my child. You risked everything for her. I am in your debt. Daewon was shaking. Adrenaline was leaving his body. I just did what was right. Few people do what is right when it costs them so much. The security forces were ordered to stand down. Hyunbitna and Taeyang were taken into custody. The colony's lockdown was lifted. As the sun rose fully over the desert, the crowd slowly dispersed. But they had witnessed something important. They had seen the powerful brought low. They had seen justice, maybe for the first time in a long time. And they had seen that sometimes ordinary people could change everything. Kwan and Misun took over a building in the colony to hold a family tribunal. This was Valari tradition. When family members committed crimes against each other, the parents sat in judgment first. Then, if needed, outside authorities would be involved. But this was not a normal family matter. The colony administrator, a human named Park Jin-young, insisted that human law also applied. The crime happened on human territory. There had to be human justice, too. It became a complex negotiation. Kwan and Misun agreed to allow human observers. Park Jin-young agreed to let Valari law proceed first. Daewon was called as a witness. So were the other humans who had helped. So was Sunhee. The tribunal was held in a large room. Kwan and Misun sat at a high table. Hyunbitna and Taeyang sat below them, each separated. They were not allowed to speak to each other. Human and Valari observers filled the rest of the room. This was being recorded. The recording would be sent to Valari authorities and human authorities across the sector. Kwan spoke first. His voice was heavy with grief and anger. We are here because 3 of my children attempted to murder another. Because they valued pride over love. Because they believed ancient prejudices more than their own hearts. He looked at his 3 older children. Speak, defend yourselves if you can. Hyun spoke first. He was calmer now, more controlled. Father, mother, I acted to protect our family. Nari was born without telepathy. In our culture, this is a sign of a broken mind. Keeping her brought shame to our name. I did what I believed tradition demanded. Tradition, Mi-sun said quietly. You speak of tradition as if it justifies murder. I speak of survival, of maintaining our family's position, of not becoming a joke among our people. Kwan's voice was like ice. And you thought I would prefer my daughter dead over my reputation diminished? Hyun had no answer. Bitna spoke next. We gave her a merciful death. The stasis field would have let her fall asleep. She would not have suffered much. You carved marks into her skin, Mi-sun said. You dressed her in death clothes. You sealed her in darkness. Do not speak to me of mercy. She should have been culled at birth. That is what tradition says. I broke with tradition when I chose to let her live, Kwan said. I broke with tradition when I raised her as my daughter. Did you think I was blind to what she faced? To how others looked at her? Then why did you let her suffer? Bitna challenged. Why not end it cleanly? Mi-sun stood up. Her voice shook with emotion. Because she is my child. Because she deserved a chance to live. Because being different does not mean being worthless. She turned to look at Nari, who sat in the front row between Daewon and Sun-hee. My daughter is brilliant. She is kind. She is strong. She survived being buried alive. She learned to live without gifts that others take for granted. She found worth in herself when everyone told her she had none. Mi-sun looked back at her other children. What have you done that compares to that? You were born with telepathy. You were given everything, and you used those gifts to justify cruelty. Taeyang finally spoke. He looked broken. I am sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. I followed Hyun because I was afraid to stand against him. But that is no excuse. I am guilty. I ask for punishment. Kwan nodded slowly. At least you admit your guilt. That is something. He turned to the observers. I will now hear testimony from those who helped my daughter. Daewon spoke about finding Nari, about keeping her alive, about hiding her. He showed the recordings Sun-hee had made. Hyun's admission. Bitna's coldness. Other humans spoke about how the siblings had bullied the colony, how they had threatened people, how they had acted like they were above all law. Sun-hee spoke last. She was crying. I am guilty too. I held Nari down while they carved her skin. I helped seal the chamber. I knew it was wrong, but I did it anyway. She looked at Nari. Sister, I do not ask for forgiveness. I do not deserve it. I only ask that you believe my regret is real. Every night I see your face. Every night I hear you begging us to stop. Nari's voice was quiet but clear. I believe you, Sun-hee. You were weak, but you found strength in the end. That matters. After all testimony was heard, Kwan and Mi-sun left the room to deliberate. They were gone for 2 hours. When they returned, their decision was ready. Under Valari law, I have the right to pass judgment on my children, Kwan said. But I recognize that human law also has a claim here. So my judgment will be subject to review by human authorities. If they find it insufficient, they may add their own punishment. Park Jin-young nodded. Acceptable. Kwan looked at Hyun. You are the oldest. You led this conspiracy. You showed no remorse. You even attempted to kill Nari again when she was found. Therefore, you are exiled from this family. Your name will be struck from our records. You will receive no inheritance, no support, no recognition. You are alone now, as you tried to make your sister. Hyun's face showed no emotion, but his hands were shaking. Kwan turned to Bitna. You followed your brother's cruelty with enthusiasm. You showed no mercy, no compassion, no doubt. You are also exiled. The same terms. Bitna stared straight ahead. She said nothing. Taeyang, Kwan said more softly. You showed some remorse. You admitted your guilt, but you still participated in attempted murder. You are exiled, but I will provide a small allowance for your survival. If you can prove over time that you have truly changed, we may speak again. Taeyang nodded, tears running down his face. Kwan looked at Sun-hee. You are the youngest after Nari. You were influenced by your older siblings, but you also made your own choices. However, you found the courage to speak truth, to help expose the conspiracy. Therefore, you will not be exiled, but you will serve a sentence. What sentence? Sun-hee asked. You will spend 2 years working in this colony, helping the people here, learning from humans who have been cast aside, just as you tried to cast aside your sister. You will learn what it means to be powerless, what it means to struggle, and maybe you will become better. Sun-hee bowed her head. I accept this. Finally, Kwan looked at Nari. My daughter, I failed you. I failed to protect you. I failed to ensure your siblings valued you. I cannot undo what was done, but I can give you what you deserve." He gestured for her to stand. Nari stood up, trembling. Under Valari law, the eldest child is normally the heir to family authority. "But I am changing this. You, Nari, are now my designated heir. You will inherit my position. You will carry our family name forward." The room erupted in whispers. This was unprecedented. A non-telepathic Valari as a family heir. Hyun shot to his feet. "This is madness. She cannot lead. She has no telepathy." "She has something better," Misun said. "She has survived. She has learned. She has grown strong despite every obstacle. That is what leadership requires," Kwan continued. "The other thing you deserve is choice. Nari, you do not have to accept this position. You do not have to remain Valari. You can choose your own path. You have earned that right." Nari was silent for a long moment. Everyone waited. "I accept," she said finally. "But I do not accept the old ways. If I am to be heir, then I will work to change our laws, to protect others like me, to end the prejudice that nearly killed me." Kwan smiled. "I would expect nothing less." Park Jin-young stood up. "On behalf of human authority, I find this judgment acceptable. However, Hyun Bitna and Taeyang are banned from this colony. They may not return. If they do, they will face human criminal charges." The three siblings were escorted out. Hyun did not look back. Bitna walked with her head high, proud even in exile. Taeyang looked back once at his family, his face full of regret. After they were gone, the room slowly emptied. Kwan approached Daewon. "I have not forgotten your role in this. You saved my daughter when you had no reason to, when it endangered you. What can I give you to repay this debt?" Daewon shook his head. "I do not want payment. Nevertheless, you have it. Your debts are paid. I have purchased your shelter and the land around it. It is yours, truly yours now, and I am funding a new business for you. You will have resources to do real salvage work, to hire people, to build something." "That is too much." "It is not enough," Misun said. She hugged Daewon. "You gave me back my daughter. Nothing I give you will ever equal that." Nari approached then. She looked at Daewon and smiled. "You told me I deserved to live. No one had ever said that before." "Thank you." "You are going to do amazing things," Daewon said. "I can tell." "Maybe, but I could not have done anything if you had not found me." She paused. "Will you help me?" "With the work I want to do." "What work?" "Changing things. Making space safer for people who do not fit. You know about being an outsider. I could use someone like you." Daewon smiled. "I would be honored." As the sun set over the colony that evening, things felt different. There was hope in the air, a sense that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy could be a little bit fairer. And in a small shelter on the edge of the desert, a man who had been struggling to survive found a new purpose. Sometimes saving one person was enough to change everything. The small shelter where Daewon had once lived alone was now the center of something bigger. Around it, new buildings had been constructed, workshops, storage facilities, living quarters. It had become a compound called the Second Chance Station. Daewon stood outside the main workshop, watching the sun rise over the desert. He still liked this time of day. It was quiet, peaceful. "You are up early again," a voice said behind him. He turned to see Nari approaching. She looked different now. Healthier, stronger. Her blue skin glowed brighter. She wore practical work clothes instead of traditional Valari garments. Her hair was tied back in a simple style. "Old habits," Daewon said. "I used to come out here to plan my salvage routes. Now I come out here to think." "About what?" "About how much has changed." Nari stood beside him. They watched the sunrise together for a moment. Then she smiled. "Change is good. Change is what we do here." The Second Chance Station had become known across the sector. It was a place where people who did not fit in could find help. Aliens with disabilities, humans who had been abandoned, anyone who had been told they were worthless. Nari and Daewon had built something special together. They created adaptive technologies, devices that helped people overcome limitations, communication aids for those who could not speak, sensors for those who could not see, mobility assist for those who could not walk. But more than technology, they provided something else: hope. "We have 3 new arrivals today," Nari said. "A Valari child born deaf, a human who lost her legs in a mining accident, and a Theran who has severe anxiety around others. We will help them, Daewon said. That is what we do. The colony itself had changed too. With investment from Kwan and Misun's family, it had grown. New businesses opened. New people arrived. It was no longer a dying outpost. It was becoming a real community. And at the center of that community was the understanding that everyone had value. Everyone deserved a chance. Park Jin-young, the colony administrator, had worked with Nari to establish new laws. Laws that protected the vulnerable. Laws that prevented discrimination. Other colonies were starting to adopt similar laws. Change was spreading. Inside the workshop, people were already working. There was Ji-woo, the mechanic who had helped from the beginning. She was now the head of engineering. There was Han-sol, a human who had been homeless until Daewon hired him. There was Irie, a Valari woman who, like Nari, had been born without telepathy. She had traveled across space to work here after hearing about Nari's story. They were building a device together. Something that would help the Valari child who was arriving today, a translator that would convert sign language into telepathic signals, allowing the child to communicate with other Valari despite being deaf. It was innovative work, important work. Daewon walked through the workshop, checking on progress. Everyone greeted him warmly. A year ago, he had been alone and struggling. Now he was surrounded by people who believed in the same things he did. Later that morning, Kwan and Misun arrived for a visit. They came often now. They had moved their primary residence to the colony to be near Nari. Kwan had retired from active diplomacy to focus on advocacy work. He traveled to Valari worlds, speaking about the need to change old prejudices. Some listened. Others did not. But slowly, attitudes were shifting. Misun had started a foundation that supported families with non-telepathic Valari children. She provided resources, education, and protection. 7 families had come forward so far. 7 children who might have been killed were now alive and thriving. How is the work progressing? Kwan asked Daewon. Good, we are expanding. We need more space, more people. I have arranged funding for an additional building, and I have found 3 more engineers who want to join your team. Your support means everything, Daewon said. Kwan shook his head. You saved my daughter. Everything I do is insufficient repayment. They walked together to where Nari was working. She was teaching a group of young humans and Valari about adaptive technology. She was a good teacher, patient and clear. Misun watched her daughter with pride. She has become so strong. She always was strong, Daewon said. She just needed a chance to show it. That afternoon, Sun-hee arrived. She had completed her 2-year sentence in the colony. She had worked hard, helping with construction, teaching children, caring for the sick. She had changed significantly. Where once she had been timid and easily influenced, she was now confident in her own beliefs. She had learned what it meant to struggle, what it meant to work for survival, and it had made her better. I have been accepted to a university on Earth, Sun-hee told her family. I want to study social justice, learn about human rights movements. Then I want to return to Valari space and continue the work you are doing. Nari embraced her sister. Their relationship had healed slowly over the year. Trust took time to rebuild, but they were family again. I am proud of you, Nari said. I am trying to be worthy of that pride. That evening, there was a gathering at the compound. It was not formal, just friends and colleagues sharing food and stories. Daewon found himself talking with a young Valari girl named Min. She was 10 years old and had been born without telepathy. She had come to the compound 6 months ago, terrified and convinced she was worthless. Now she was smiling, playing with other children, learning engineering from Ji-woo. Daewon, she said, when I grow up, I want to be like you. I want to help people. You already are helping people, he said, just by being yourself. By showing others it is possible to be happy even when you are different. Do you think things will really change? Do you think people will stop hating us for being different? Daewon thought about this. I think change is slow, but it is happening. Every person we help becomes a story. Every story changes minds. It will take time, maybe generations. But yes, I think things will change. Min smiled and ran off to join her friends. Nari sat down next to Daewon. You told her the truth, not a comforting lie. She deserves the truth, but the truth is hopeful. It is it not? Nari looked around at the gathering, at the diverse group of people laughing and eating together. A year ago, I was buried in the desert waiting to die. Now I am here, alive, doing work that matters. It seems impossible. You made it possible. You survived. We survived, Nari corrected. You could have left me there. You could have reported me and collected a reward. You could have stayed safe. But you did not. I could not leave you. Why? You did not know me. I was nothing to you. Daewon thought about this. Maybe because I saw myself in you. Someone the world had thrown away. Someone told they were not good enough. I knew how that felt. And I knew it was a lie. Nari was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I received a message today. From Hyun. Daewon tensed. What did he want? To tell me he hates me. That I destroyed his life. That everything is my fault. Are you okay? Yes, because he is wrong. I did not destroy his life. He destroyed it himself with his cruelty and pride. I just survived. What about Bitna and Taeyang? Bitna disappeared into the outer colonies. I heard she joined some kind of criminal organization. She has not changed. And Taeyang? He is working on a freight station. Simple labor, hard work. He sends me messages sometimes, apologizing, asking how I'm doing. I have not responded yet. Will you? Maybe someday, when I am ready. If he truly changes, perhaps we can be family again. But he has a long way to go. As the evening continued, Kwan stood up to make an announcement. Everyone gathered around. I have news, he said. The Valari Council has agreed to form a committee to review laws regarding non-telepathic individuals. It is a small step, but it is a step. Nari has been invited to speak at the next council session. The crowd applauded. Nari looked nervous but determined. I will tell them what I have learned, she said. That difference is not deficiency. That there are many ways to be valuable. That telepathy is a gift, but it is not the only gift. They may not listen, Mi-sun warned. Some will, and that is enough to start. Later, after most people had left, Daewon and Nari walked to the place where he had found her a year ago. They had built a monument there. Not to suffering, but to survival. It was a simple stone with words carved into it in multiple languages. Human, Valari, Thorin, and others. Every person deserves a chance to live. Every person deserves to be valued. Every person deserves to choose their own path. They stood before the monument in silence. Do you ever regret it? Nari asked. Saving me? Your life was simpler before. My life was emptier before, Daewon said. I was surviving. Now I am living. There is a difference. Yes, there is. They stood together as the stars came out above the desert. In the compound behind them, lights glowed warm and welcoming. People were laughing, working, living. A year ago, this place had been almost empty. Just a struggling man trying to survive. Now it was full of hope. Nari looked at Daewon. Thank you. For everything. Thank you, Daewon replied. For showing me that one person can make a difference. That standing up for what is right matters. We both learned that lesson. As they walked back to the compound together, Daewon thought about the future. There was still work to do. Still people to help. Still minds to change. But for the first time in years, he felt truly optimistic.